the Four Nations final tonight. And the U.S. and Canada both minus 110 on the money line, Kate. This game is, I said it earlier, if you're neutral on this thing, this has to be incredibly difficult to bet, just given it's going to be a very tight checking game. Casey pointed out excellent goaltending on both sides. Hellebuck on the American side, Bennington on the Canadian side, and two teams that don't want to give up opportunities to the high-end scoring talent that will have the puck on the other side. So, under 5.5 still feels like the safest bet. You start to dig into props, I think, and before you know it, you've got 5 or 6 written down or on your bet slip, and you go, wait. I'm betting on offense here. I think I need to take a step back and understand that this thing has got 2-1 or 3-2 written all over it.
Yeah, I think the under, that's my favorite play. That's what I'm going to play tonight. I think that's the way to go here. You saw what the U.S. tried to, or successfully did against Canada in that first matchup, is just kind of like drag them through the mud. Not necessarily slow the game down, but just we're so physical with them that Canada couldn't move the puck like they wanted to. And I think that's going to happen again tonight. Also, Canada gets Cale Makar back, who's their best defensive player. He played in that last game against Finland. Play Finland? Yeah. Or Sweden? Who did Canada play in the
Canada played Finland in their final preliminary game. Yeah.
Yes. Makar was back for that. He didn't play in the first game against the U.S., but that's going to add even more defense and hopefully lower scoring if we're taking the under. And I mean, the line is basically telling you to. It's juice minus 130. I also think there might be a little correlation between the U.S. winning and the under. So if you want to do a little fun, maybe same game parlay, get a little bit more plus money, you could do the U.S. money line and the under plus 220. I would prefer almost to take that than US minus 1.5 at plus 220. But do we get an empty netter late in the game? Like
right.
that's the only way I see the US winning by more than one.
Yeah, I have a hard time betting on that, knowing that, like you said, it's relying on someone putting one in an empty net late. I do have some props that I like. Like, I know Casey, when she was on with us earlier, brought up the Tkachuk brothers. Naturally, they're a part of the conversation surrounding this game. Mm-hmm. And Matthew Tkachuk's high danger scoring chances, he's had more than anybody else in this tournament. I want to say he and Brady, his brother, are both tied leading the tournament in shots on goal at 11. But Matthew has got, hold on, I had the number in front of me here. I want to make sure I have it right. I want to say high danger chances. He's also leading the tournament. So 7 high danger shots on goal. He scored one of those. And again, tied with his brother in shots on goal. They each have 11. So one of the Tkachuks, I wish that was a bet. One of the Tkachuks to score a goal, as they're both plus 290, right around 3-1 at BetMGM, I think is a pretty good bet. Jake Gensel is also probably a pretty good bet. He scored in the game against Canada on Saturday night, tied for the tournament lead with 3 goals, second in the tournament in high danger shots on goal. He knows which areas of the ice to get to, whether it be to clean up a rebound or just to be available for a feed from someone else. So either of the Tkachuks, maybe a Jake Gensel, but I'm not going to sit here and spray the board with bets on all of these guys. I mentioned Auston Matthews, shots on goal might be a good look if you believe he's ready to go after missing the Sweden game. I do. I lean more into the under and just kind of let it ride from there and just enjoy the show. Like, this is not a game that I have to have half a dozen bets on in order to enjoy.
No, especially if we both think the under is the right play. If we think this is going to be a low scoring game, you don't want to be spraying the board with a ton of props, because more than likely, not all of those are going to come home if this is a lower scoring game, if we're right in that regard. Casey Hudson, when she was on with us, mentioned Sidney Crosby to have a shot in the first period. I can't find anything like that at BetMGM, so you may have to do some shopping around if you want to play anything like that, but that was she had mentioned. Maybe you take a flyer on an anytime goal scorer and you look at some of the big names. You're not getting as good a value as further down the board, but I think tonight, if we do see goals, it's going to come from those big name players. So that's how I would play this one. Otherwise, Chris, like you said, it's just going to be such a fun game to watch. Like, I'm so happy that the NHL decided to do this year, because this is bringing us a lot of excitement during a week where there really has not been a whole lot going on with the NBA on their break. Baseball not quite started, football over. Like, we needed this tournament more than anything right now.
Yeah, again, I can't wait to see. Oh, you know what's an interesting number? No goal in the first period is plus 320 at BetMGM.
Ooh,
That's tempting, given how tight this game is going to be, or at
yeah.
least as we believe. That's that's a way to to bet against the offense if you're looking for one. Time of first goal. If you want to say it's after the first 9 minutes, it's minus 115. But I really like that better than 3-1, plus 320. No goal in the first period. If we're betting unders, that might be one to sprinkle a little something on as well. I am really curious to see how the players involved on the Canadian and U.S. side, not so much the Finns and the Swedes, as they're done now, probably already back home, skating with their teammates at practices around the league the next day or two. But what it does for the NHL when these Americans and Canadians get back to their teams and get headed down the stretch run of the NHL season, because they're down to the last 25 games as well, or 35 games as well. Again, math on the air is always a terrible thing when we try to do this without a calculator in front of us. Yeah, 25, 27 games, similar to the NBA. But I think the Boston Bruins are a great example of this. They're sitting at a spot where, okay, are you eliminated? By no means. You're only a point out of a playoff spot. But, if Charlie McAvoy's out for an extended period of time, which it certainly looks like he's going to be now, right? Serious AC joint injury in the shoulder, an infection. He's still in the hospital. The Penguins, I think, are a good example. Probably not making the playoffs again this year. Probably missing them again. 6 points back of the final wild card spot in the Eastern Conference. But, Sidney Crosby, as great shape as he keeps himself in, is not a spring chicken anymore. He's 37 years old. So when he gets back for this, after playing high-level, high-intensity hockey, how are some of these guys going to handle jumping back into the NHL regular season, and how does it affect them down the stretch? Something I think worth keeping an eye on if you're a hockey fan and a hockey bettor. Yet I'm also going to be a dummy and bet some goal and point props because, why not? Matthew Tkachuk to score a goal, plus 290, almost 3-1 at BetMGM. And then a couple on the Canadian side. Sidney Crosby to record 1 assist or more is actually plus money, plus 125. And rather than betting his points and having to give a little on the juice, I'll say assists because he's done a phenomenal job of setting people up in this tournament, including Nathan MacKinnon, who he has set up beautifully well. Those two are like this off the ice. So at least 1 assist for Sidney Crosby. And I do think the difference in this game could end up coming on special teams, on the power play. That's Connor McDavid's, that's his sweet spot. So Connor McDavid, just as a flyer, in case we do get a little bit of offense in this game, 2+ points is plus 250 at BetMGM. So if you're not betting the under, rather than just taking the over, why not go in a little bit on some Connor McDavid or Sidney Crosby or even Tkachuk brother action as well, all sitting there waiting for you at BetMGM. But I think we can all agree that whether we win bets or we're necessarily happy about the outcome as Americans, it's going to be a hell of a game tonight, and I cannot wait. I can't believe we're getting this in mid-February. Gary Bettman gets absolutely crushed by hockey fans a lot, Kate, but got to give the NHL credit for knocking this Four Nations thing out of the park.